Right, so far so good. So now we have everything set up here. And the next thing we need to do is we need to set up our environment. Right, so we're going to be using virtual env. So we're going to do virtual env and we're going to create our own environment. So we're just going to call it env, right? So that creates a new environment for us. Alright, so once we have that, we can now check into our env. Right, so now environment is activated. Always make sure that you have done that. Right now, then we need to, of course, start up our Django project. Right, so that's fairly easy to do. So just need to do Django admin, start project, then you're gonna call this, say, our test application. Now you can call it whatever you wish. So you just do that. Right, so Django has created for us a new application called test app. Let's go into it. Alright, so now this is actually the root of our application. This is where we're going to be putting in a lot of our things. So moving forward, we can just actually quickly checking out the tutorial just to make sure that we are up to date on everything. Just quickly need to Google for Django, Heroku. There we go. So we have you can check out their tutorials. They have very nice and easy to follow tutorials, which is one of their strengths. Right, so while we are here, you might want to consider where you want your Git file to be. So in my case, I'm putting it here. For your case, you might decide maybe you want to put it on a bit of a lower level. See right there, right? So it doesn't really matter where you decide to put it. So maybe just let me move mine. So I'm just going to remove Git first because I don't need it right now. But you're going to redeploy it again, so we don't need it much right now. Just going to remove that. They're going to work from here. Okay, so let's see if this link finished loading. Okay, so that finished loading. So now we can check out the documentation. So far we've already done most of this. All that needed to be done to deploy here, done. Right, so we're here. So we need to install all the packages that Roku needs. So you can do this using just one command, which is just pip install Django toolbed. That will install everything that we need. So if you look at our pip freeze right now, like that. So pip freeze allows us to see what is installed. If you look at it right now, we see that we only have wheel installed. So you go right ahead and install everything else that was needed. Alright, good to go. At this point, you might want to consider installing Django as well, especially if you're using Django 1.8, just to make sure. Okay, so now let's freeze once more. Okay, so now we have all our required dependencies. Alright, so including our Django here. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. So once you're done with that, of course we already have this, we need to create our proc file. So our proc file is going to be in our root, and our root is where manage.py is. So let's go right ahead and do that. Let's create our proc file. I think it's pronounced like that. No, this is just normal like that. And then we can edit it. So now we just put in the command that was given here. Now proc file, and then paste that there, then you save. Okay, so now our application should be able to run at least locally, so we can test that out by running this command, so you can see. Okay, so we have an error. Okay, so I seem to be having a problem with our process file. So let's see what cuts. Okay, so there we go. So we can see that this picked up maybe what was being used in that tutorial. So we need to change this to our own application. So this is now test up. So it's what used for what we call those. So you can probably quickly check out what the name of your application is. We're looking at this WSGI file. Okay, so you can see this what your app is called. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so let's try it again. See if it works now. Right, so far so good. Let's see it on our port 5000. And let's see if what happens when you try that. Awesome. So right now we have our Django working on our local settings. Okay, so far so good. So let's kill off that server. Let's move on to our next step. Okay, so once you're there, you need to make sure that our requirements files, that our requirements are here. That's how basically Heroku knows this is actually a Django application. Now, of course, when it gets here, this is actually why it's very important that whenever you have a dependency, it's not just contained in your global environment. It's actually in your specific environment, in your virtual environment, because then you can very easily do this. So when you run free that you've done before, you can see this is what was provided. It's very possible for us to just like push out what was given there instead to a requirements file like that. Okay, so now we have a new file which you can quickly look at, which is just our requirements file, which has all the requirements that Heroku will need to process our application. Okay, so once at least you can get here, then we will be good to actually put in our application online. So let's first do that. Let's get here, now we can serve our application locally.